But I think it's just because they want more money. It's a record label, dog. Come on. They are like the worst of the worst in this industry full of really bad people.
Hey, hi.
Huge TikTok drama with UMG. Okay, we'll cover it. Um, for the person who said that they were Jewish but getting bullied at school for it or whatever, brother, that's disgusting that that's happening to you. Being Jewish does not have anything to do with Israel. Okay, you're not an Israeli citizen. You're an American citizen, I assume, if you're in America. Okay, and you have every opportunity and the right to be able to learn things on your own. Don't get fucking indoctrinated in some nonsensical bullshit. There's plenty of anti-Zionist Jews in this community. Okay, and hope you snipe this message, Hassan. Okay, whatever, dude. I'm not gonna fucking cave into this. But where was I? I thought it was like the other dude that was asking the question. So regardless, even if you are Israeli, okay, even if you are Israeli, you have the moral duty to fight against your own country being fascist. Okay, same goes for all of us here. Okay, goes for all of us here in the United States of America. We have a moral duty and a responsibility to try and educate others and try and combat against American imperialism. Okay, I try to do this every fucking day. I try to do this for America. And of course, I urge others to also do this for Israel if they are in Israel as well. Okay? Like I've said, Israel is an apartheid regime. This is unjust. This is immoral. This cannot continue. Okay? That's it. Don't let anybody automatically make the assertion that because you're Jewish that you would like unconditionally defend Israel. That is not the case. That is anti-Semitic. It is anti-Semitic when Zionists do it. It is anti-Semitic when anyone who is not Jewish does it, or if anyone who is Jewish does it. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just anti-Semitic to automatically make the assertion that just because you are Jewish, that you are unconditionally in support of Israel's actions. Okay? I thought he said he was Israeli, not Jewish. I mean, there's also obviously groups that you can join in Israel as well with like-minded Israeli Jews. We've had some of their members on the broadcast as well, including conscientious objector Atal. What is it? How do you say it? Mezervot or whatever. Is that what it is? Why are you racist against Israelis? Oh God. It's just like, it's so obvious whenever someone says like insane shit like this, that the top of the hour is here and they just want to bait so they can turn around and say like, oh well, at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break, like I got you. It's like, come on, dude, get better bait. As an American Jew, should I support Israel? It's known I'm Jewish at school. Out here, consistent harassment right now to do with what's going on with war, and whatever. Whenever I get asked who I support, I never know what to say. If I don't say Israel, I feel like they think they are justified in hating Jews. Wait, what? No, they're being fucking anti-Semitic to you. You're 15 years old. Of course, this kind of shit happens all the time in high school. But it's not your fault, okay? They are being anti-Semitic to you if they're like immediately being like, oh, you fucking defend Israel. It's your fault, okay? Explain to them that it's not your fault and they have nothing to do with Israel, okay? That's one. And yeah, I don't know. Teenagers are stupid. They're gonna grow out of it. And you will have more freedom in the future. The conscientious objector is called Tal Mitnick. Yeah. Everyone thinks I support Israel despite being a communist because they have no clue about anything about Jewish people. Yeah, that too. Also, this dude's Twitch account was created in 2017. Holy shit. Mezarvot is the Israeli group, but he's not Israeli. He's in America. Hey friend, I grew up Jewish in the Midwest and got a lot of anti-Semitism in school. Whether or not you support Israel, they will still be anti-Semitic. Follow your morals and do what's right. If you are comfortable, then explain to them that Jews and Israel are not the same thing. Yeah. By the way, this is part of the reason why. Like, I mean, there's a couple different things that are at play here. One, kids are dumb as fuck, as we all know, and two, this is why like Israel's actions end up making the world less safe for Jews around the world, because Israel will go up and be like, we're doing this for Jews and all Jews defend us. And this is for Judaism. This bomb is for Judaism. Like, fuck yeah. And then other people will see that and go, okay, well, they're saying that. I guess this bomb is for Judaism. Well, what the fuck's going on here? This sucks. This doesn't justify anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is horrible. Disgusting. It's abhorrent. But this is how that cycle of like lack of safety continues, and it's one that is genuinely beneficial for Israel too. Okay, it's beneficial for Israel. Why? Because if Jews feel less safe outside of Israel, then they'll go to Israel or want to defend Israel, because the entire point of the Israeli project is supposed to be that never again means like the Holocaust is near at any given point. And it is a important part of Jewish history in general, that many pogroms have occurred, including the Holocaust. And therefore, in order to ensure that never happens again, in order to avoid that, you have to have a violent ethno-state such as Israel, designed to oppress the Palestinian population that it was built on top of. And it has to exist in the way that it does, in the violent ways that it does. I said avoid, and you guys are saying Pago, but I already mentioned that the top of the hour ad break is here, and I forgot to run it, so I'm going to run it now. Same as Islamophobia over here. If Fundis shout death to all people, think it's all Muslims. Yeah, it's kind of funny, though, because, like, it's not as normalized, obviously. Like Muslim Americans obviously fucking despise ISIS, right? They despise ISIS partially because like ISIS's major enemies are still like other Muslims in that in the areas that it occupies as a colonial power, right? So ain't no Muslim is like riding for ISIS, right? I guess like maybe some fucking psychos in like in like super edge cases, right? However, there are still obviously people that ride for Israel and think like, no, what Israel's doing is right and good. And some of those people are Jewish themselves, and they ride for Israel and say like, I'm Jewish, of course I ride for Israel is great. It's like, it is unironically akin to being a Muslim dude in the UK or in the United States of America and be like, no, I ride for ISIS. Like, the fuck do you mean? That those guys actually do. They do defend me. It's like psychotic. What is the public opinion of Israelis about this war? Oh, they love it. It's very popular. Amongst the Israeli Jewish population, it's got 95% approval since day one.
Not ready to monarchs of Egypt? How you know? Well, damn it, okay, like a far you want to go to the Ayyubid dynasty, conquer it rightfully from the Crusaders who took it back violently from the Umayyad and fought in the Caliphate, took conquered it from the Byzantines, honestly, probably bad. I mean, not to be fair to the Romans, we know just think about them constantly, not only them, but the Maccabees practicing Buddha before from the Dead Sea.
Bro, backpack rap is so fucked up. It's just, again, another war crime. Let me tell you something, okay? You can't, on the one hand, be like, listen, our ancestors lived here for 3,000 years. We have a right to return. And then be like, but the dudes who fucking lived here like, 70 years ago, 75 years ago, they can't return. This makes no fucking sense. Okay? You can't go 3,000 years into the fucking past while simultaneously you're like denying dudes that lived there 75 years ago a right to return. That's crazy. I can't watch all 4 minutes of this. I'll actually video game myself, okay? This sucks. Here's the October 7 claims being refuted by Israeli journalists.
אנחנו כבר נדווח על המתווה החדש של עסקת החטופים, האם הוא יפצח את המבוי הסתום, אבל עוד לפני כן, תראו את הדברים הבאים שאומר סמח"ט חטיבת כפיר בערוץ 14. שימו לב.
אנחנו מגיעים לקיבוץ בארי, ושם תופסות אותי עוד שתי תמונות מרכזיות בלחימה, אפרופו האכזריות של האויב. אחד זה מעון ילדים, שבאמת, באמת, חוץ מתום אין שם שום דבר אחר, שנשחטו ופשוט הרגו אותם.
אתה רואה את הילדים?
בית, שמונה תינוקות. שמונה תינוקות מתים. ועוד תמונה שתפסה אותי, היא שראיתי את ג'ניה, זיכרונה לברכה, אישה מבוגרת מקיבוץ בארי, שאני רואה את המספר חרוט לה על היד, ואתה אומר, היא עברה את השואה באושוויץ, ובסוף מתה בקיבוץ בארי. זה לא משהו שהוא... בכלל, אתה מצליח להבין אותו.
ובכן, לא נרצחו 8 תינוקות במעון בבארי, מבהיר דובר בארי, ואין בבארי אישה בשם ג'ניה.
There's no woman named Jenny in Barry. Watch some of the footage not from long ago
גם אדם שהוא חלק מצה"ל.
of a soldier speaking.
היו פה גם ילדים
Like, soldiers lied about this shit. Zakah lied about this shit. Like, they greatly just fucking beefed up the narratives as aggro as possible for no discernible reason, in my opinion. It's just, like, so dumb.
תינוקות שנתלו על חבל כביסה ממש בשורה אחת, המראה מאוד קשה. אני, כשראיתי את זה, זה גם כן זעזע אותי. אתה לא מבין בדיוק באמת מה אתה רואה מול העיניים, האם זה תמונה או שזה באמת מציאות. היה מאוד מאוד קשה לעכל את זה.
בוסקילה מדבר על אירוע כביכול בכפר עזה, אבל לכפר עזה הבהירו מזמן שהאירוע הזה פשוט לא קרה. אגב, הוא אמר את הדברים, נאמר לו שזה לא קרה, ואז הוא אמר אותם שוב בסיור של עיתונאים.
Actually, there is a discernible reason. They did atrocity propaganda because they knew how they were going to retaliate, and they wanted maximum amounts of Western support for what came next. This is why many people, myself included, tried to urge people, knowing full well what was going to happen, into dialing it back a million notches. Of course, it didn't go anywhere, and all of the people that actually do have power ended up totally repeating this propaganda, and still do. Some of them still do to this day. Will they ever be punished? Will the drama farmers ever turn around and go, why did the entire collective mainstream media repeat fucking straight up lies that went out of its way and got all the way to the ears of the goddamn brain dead senile president, the leader of the free world? Will the drama farmers talk about those things? Find out at 7. Of course they won't, because they have no fucking dog in this fight. They just want to fucking churn out propaganda that benefits them and them only. Okay? Those who go along with the American State Department propaganda can be wrong 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. We will wash that aside. If you, however, are anti-imperialist in your sentiment, in your thought, in your advocacy, the one time that they can even catch you or try to make it seem like you're wrong, even if you are not, they will bully you over the head. They will bludgeon you over the head with that every fucking day. Okay? That's it. That's the whole point. That's how it works.
זרים שהגיעו למקום, ושימו לב מה אומר דובר המשטרה לתקשורת הזרה לא מזמן. שימו לב.
At pregnant women, cut open. Guys, the things that happen here are so sick. This is not a Netflix show, and it's not a cable news show. None of that. No, this is real life.
Yeah, except you fucking got that from the Netflix show.
גם זה לא קרה. אז קרו כל כך הרבה דברים נוראים, אכזריים, מהאכזריים ביותר שניתן לבצע כלפי בני אדם ב7 באוקטובר. בשביל מה, מיקי רוזנטל, נאמרים דברים כאלה שלא קרו?
אני מניח שבשביל להגדיל את גודל האיבה לחמאס, כאילו צריך לצייד, כאילו לא קרה מספיק כמו
אבל מה, אנשים ממציאים, אנשים רציניים, ממציאים את האירועים האלה?
התשובה היא שאולי הם שמעו כשמועה.
For the record, what they're talking about with the pregnant woman having their stomach cut out, that did happen. However, It happened at Sabra and Shatila. It happened in the hands of Falangist militia forces that the IDF sicked upon an unsuspecting Palestinian refugee population in Lebanon. Just for the record. Phalanges are like Christian fascist militias in Lebanon that were collaborating with the IDF against Muslims and refugee Palestinians living in Lebanon.
ואולי אם זה אבל, וזה הדבר הכי חשוב שצריך להגיד.
Yeah, if you want to know more about that, it's like probably one of the best. I guess it's like the best Israeli movie, Waltz with Bashir. It's Israeli, right? That's an Israeli movie. It's actually really good. I mean, it's awful. It's like a hard watch for sure, but didn't they attack a camp of refugees while the IOF stood by, or am I misremembering? Yes, no. In the dead of the night, they sent in the Phalangist militias. They sent in the Phalangist militias in the dead of the night. The IDF stood idly by, threw flares up in the sky so that there was visibility, okay, for the Christian fascist militias as they were engaging in butchery, okay? And the only interference that they had was that they shut off all access points so that not a single Palestinian could escape the slaughter. So they had armed guards placed on all of the edges of the refugee camp, keeping them stuck inside with the Phalangist militias. They trapped the Palestinians in. That's where the pregnant woman having her belly cut out with a child inside of her, that's where that comes from. Yeah, they created a kill zone, exactly. Another lie that Zakat told personally that made its way into mainstream media without any fucking secondary like look or any kind of real journalism happening where they just repeated the atrocity propaganda was that babies were thrown in ovens. This also is another act of Israeli projection. Babies were thrown in ovens during the Deir Yassin slaughter in the hands of Irgun and I believe it was Haganah maybe, but Lehi brigades, which preceded the Israeli standing military, before Israel existed, before the IDF existed. But the original versions of that were Haganah was a more military. Haganah basically was a military, but Irgun and which of course then became, I guess, the Benjamin Netanyahu's party too. But Deir Yassin was Irgun, not Haganah. No. In Deir Yassin, it wasn't Haganah, but I think it was Irgun and Lehi. Lehi, by the way, tried to collaborate with the Nazis as well at a certain point. They're fucking insane. They called themselves terrorists openly. Like, they are the ones who say we are terrorists, for the record, just so you understand. Yeah, those guys went and did exactly that. There was firsthand account of this. Yeah, Stern Gang. There was a firsthand account of this where the one person, the Palestinian that escaped the atrocities, recounted his experience alongside, which was obviously also talked about from the Israeli side as well, that the brigades came in to this civilian town, no military whatsoever. Okay, they went in. They had 3 people lined up. There was a baker and a baker's son, a baker's child. Okay, and a third person there. These armed terrorists pointed the gun at the baker and said, "Throw your son in the oven." He refused. They beat him. They threw his son in the oven. Then they picked him up and they threw him in the oven while his son was still burning in the oven. They made him watch his son light on fire, and then they threw him in after his son. The third person ran away. He was able to escape. Part of the reason why they let some people escape was because this was a part of their strategy of doing atrocities in certain villages with the hopes that other villages and other places where Palestinians lived heard about how evil these forces were and would escape. A campaign of terror. Wait, Hamas did this? No. Jewish brigades did this that predated Israel's existence, that some of which became the Israeli occupying force that you know of. Yes. 1948 Creation and Catastrophe has this story in their documentary. It's a very good documentary. The other one is Tantura.
בהקשר הזה. הזירה היא לא רק צבאית ולא רק מדינית, היא בעיקר תקשורתית, ואני לא בטוח שהיא לא החשובה ביותר. גם לראש הממשלה שלנו, אגב.
צריך לומר, שר לראות שגם באיחוד הצלה הפיצו בזמנו את הסיפור הפיקטיבי על כך שתינוק הושם בתוך תנור.
זה היה מלידה זקה, אבל כן, גם אני שמעתי עדות של אחד מהקצינים שם. אני חושבת שלפעמים דמיון מתערבב במציאות כשאתה נמצא בכזה טראומה. אנשים שהיו שם היו בטראומה, עברו שם הליך לא פשוט. ואיך אמר לי אחד מהם, אחד מהמשפחה שהיה במחנה שורה וכל זה, שאלתי אותו, היית כבר אצל פסיכולוג? הוא אומר לי, בסוף אני אלך. אתה לא יכול באמצע. ואז זה משפיע.
אני חושב ששרי אומרת דברים שיש בהם טעם, אבל צריך נורא להיזהר בזה, כי התיעוד פה והדיוק פה בסיפור הזה הם סופר סופר חשובים, דווקא בגלל כנגד כל המכחישים וכנגד כל שזה הלחם שלהם, להגיד, אחרי זה הם אומרים, אתם רואים למה אנחנו לא מאמינים לסיפורי האונס, או לסיפורי ההתעללות המינית.
Yeah, there's like this is about like tactics, strategy. If you lie so much, yeah, people are not going to believe the other shit when it's true. That's what they're basically saying. Okay? Which is true. That's why, like, some of the original atrocity propaganda was very quickly corrected by Israeli journalists who were like, no, this is not true. Some, because they have an unshakable interest in being just and true and doing honest reporting. Others actually had a more pragmatic approach to it because they were like, well, if this is a lie, then, you know, boy who cried wolf, they're going to think that like everything else we're saying is a lie. But to be fair, if we're being honest, I don't think the Israeli organs of propaganda give a single shit about not criticism of Sambar, you're mispronouncing zakat as zakat, which is the Islamic yearly charity tax. Yeah, I know what zakat is. I wasn't doing that on purpose. Anyway, Jordanian aircraft were also slated to join in the U.S. operation, have been assigned targets, by the way. Jordan's role is unusual and is intended to demonstrate solidarity with the U.S. following the drone strike on Tower 22, an outpost in Jordan near the Syrian border. So that's something to consider as well. Now, on that note, let's go to CNN. Let's see what the fuck they're talking about.
Grade the capability of a lot of the proxies, but it's not a long-term solution for cutting them off.
Wait, what the fuck? No.
Iran's a major state, has got a lot of assets to lose. These militia groups sort of win by not folding when the United States strikes them. And that's what we've seen happen with the Houthis, who came out of Yemen and were doing more attacks on shipping just yesterday and today. So it's not clear to me that this will deter. It may well slow them down for a while. And I don't know anybody in the U.S. government who thinks that this is a solution. It's a sending of a message, and they think the Iranians, for the reasons Beth raised, are probably receiving that message and trying to tell the proxies to back off for a bit.
David, you've written a lot about the targeting of Iran through cyber methods. There is an expectation that perhaps what is happening today and in the coming phases of this is not just kinetic, not just military like we're seeing right now with jets dropping bombs, but there could also be some cyber targeting. What do you think the U.S. is doing on the cyber front vis-a-vis Iran and its proxies right now?
Well, the most obvious target for cyber would be some of their command and control. It would be their ability to produce some of these weapons, including the drones, including their missile supplies. But, cyber takes a lot more time and planning. If U.S. Cyber Command has been inside the Iranian facilities for some time, then they could execute a simultaneous strike. But it's not something you can work up in a week or necessarily even a month. It takes a long time to get access. Now, Iran's been a target for so long, presumably they know what some of those accesses are. That could also be part of the next wave. I think one of the reasons that they were using...
I'm so brain broken. Every time they say cyber, I can't stop but think that they're saying cyber sex.
...their capabilities in the Mediterranean, in the Red Sea, and so forth. So like, that they got that for a second strike.
I don't know why.
Same thing could be the case for cyber.
All right, I want everyone to stand by and bring in Jeremy Diamond, who is in Tel Aviv. Jeremy, what are you learning?
Well, I think one thing to keep in mind here as we're looking at this analysis is the fact that it did take the United States 5 days between this attack at an air base in Jordan to when the United States actually carried out these retaliatory strikes. And one of the reasons why that's significant is that it may have given time for Iran, for their militias, their proxies in the region to actually be able to reposition some key personnel as well as equipment. And that may have reduced the effectiveness of these strikes. But what it also may have done is kind of reduce the pressure on Iran to retaliate in a forceful way, in particular if there was some kind of significant personnel at any of these sites and some kind of a significant killing by the United States in these attacks, something that Iran would have had to forcefully push back on. And so I think as we look at these strikes themselves, what's also significant is what has preceded them. And that is both the United States and Iran doing a lot of signaling in these last 5 days to indicate that while both of them were prepared, were ready to respond to an attack by the other on their proxy forces, on themselves, they also wanted to make very clear that neither of them were really trying to position themselves for a direct conflict.
The fuck?
That kind of diplomatic dance unraveling over the last several days. I think, as David was saying there, we kind of fell in the kind of medium range option here of where the United States actually fell with these attacks. I mean, we're looking at, 85.
All power is out. Correspondent Aleppo says a complete power outage in Deir ez-Zor as a result of the American aggression. All power is out. The fuck is this? British Maritime Trade Operations Authority intense drone activity within 30 nautical miles west of Hodeidah in Yemen. Oh, they're fucking hitting they're hitting Yemen too. Biden's going to start doing Obama's Terror Tuesdays. We did cyber attacks. Stuxnet blew up uranium enrichment centrifuges in Iran around 12 years ago. Why is my brain broken with the way CNN is covering this? I mean, they're brain broken because we do this so much. I don't know if this is a real video, by the way, or a recent video. Sorry. Syrians and Iraqis had just started seeing their hard work to rebuild pay off a little, and here comes the U.S. again. Yep. And like, obviously, if you're depending on your level of brain brokenness, you're going to be like, well, Iran's forces should not be at the munitions depots there. And it's like, okay, like they are a regional power you can make an argument that their interference in these affairs is fucked up. It's still way more valid than America's interference, though. Because the fuck are you doing there? You are like 8,000 miles removed from this shit. Why are you there, dog?
To prevent an escalation. I will say that the discussion of attack.
Yeah, that video is new. It's from Al Qaim in Western Iraq. The munitions flying off are rockets that got struck and ignited after. Yeah, they're hitting munitions depots. I can't. This one's broken. Like, this stream is broken. Do you guys have another live CNN stream? What do you mean? We're spreading democracy. Hell yeah, baby.
So Trump did not. Trump took out a very high-level Iranian official,
that was Iraq.
Soleimani, but it was not inside Iranian territory. So the idea that anyone does that without considering the much broader implications is just.
What's your take on the idea that the Houthis aren't a full-fledged Iranian proxy, and that even if Iran instructed them to stop going after shipping, they still do it? Yeah, they're not a full-fledged. They're not a full-fledged Iranian proxy, but they are backed by Iran. A lot of people misunderstand this, or they think that like what Iran says goes, in the same way that it's. I would go so far as to say that like it's identical to like America and Israel's actions. Okay, like America says do this, Israel will most likely do it if their interests are aligned, because they are. But Israel still has the capacity to go, nah, actually, we're going to keep going hard. But America still ultimately has full power of taking their guns away, taking their toys away, and taking their defense away, like their political defense away from Israel. In which case, Israel, being a part of the Western sphere of influence, would have to greatly reconsider. Whereas the relationship between Iran and the Houthis, okay, the way that the relationship between Iran and the Houthis exists is that like Iran could stop arming them, but that doesn't mean that Houthis are going to stop fucking hitting Americans with the existing arms that they have. The Houthis were not created by Iran, so it is better to call them a partner than a proxy. Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Shia militias in Iraq and Syria are full proxies. The IRGC Quds force has more command and control over them. Yeah. I think so too. They are Shia, like the Houthis are comprised of, what is it? Yazidi Shias, right? I don't want to say it wrong. I might be mixing them up a little bit, but they are Shias in the same way that like Iran is Shias as well. Zaidi, not Yazidi. Sorry, not Yazidi. They are Zaidi. They're Zaidi Shias. You're right, not Yazidi. I fucked it up. Now everyone's gonna get mad at me and yell at me. They are Zaidi Shias. However, they're not like people are not fucking one-track minded. There's no like Shia mind control or anything like that. One of the greatest examples of this, of course, is Hamas. Hamas is a Sunni force. They are not Shia at all. They originally started as a Muslim Brotherhood cutout, right? So they are not mad, just disappointed. Okay, shut up. Ultimately, they have some level of control and influence that they can exert over Ansar Allah in general, but it's not full blown. Like they can't just like stop them. And as far as what I've seen of the Yemeni people in general, I do think that they are very hard-headed, very stubborn, very proud people. And I do think that they will continue to hit, even if Iran was like, don't do it anymore, please. We will not give you weapons.
They know, even
as long as Israel
they know
continues.
a B-1B bomber is a pretty powerful weapon, right? I mean, I'm sure that there was a fair amount of fear and expectation as to what was to come, and certainly preparation. They had time.
Dude, this is QVC shit, by the way. Like, look at this. Look at we're jerking off our fucking B-1B Lancer bomber, capable of Mach 1.2, unlimited range with refueling, holds 24 cruise missiles. This is literally no different than like the what was it? Brian, whatever the fuck, when he was doing like, look at the awesomeness of our weapons.
Taken
look at the
hits
awesome
before, they've lost personnel before, and they've maintained the attacks. But it does seem that Iran, and we know this at least from Iran itself, that they've tried to signal no. They did not, for instance, direct the attacks, the Hamas attacks on October 7th. And by the way, the U.S. intelligence seems to match that, to have assessed that to be true. And Iran deliberately putting some distance between itself
Not
and its,
Brian
and
Kilmeade,
its
it was the other
proxies,
guy. Brian
perhaps
Williams.
with the intention of preventing themselves from getting attacked.
All right, everyone stay with us. I want to bring in a key Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Pat Ryan of New York. He's a U.S. Army veteran who served in Iraq. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on this very important news. We now know that the Pentagon is saying they've struck more than 85 targets in Iraq and Syria at the start of what they say will likely be a series of longer-term, perhaps larger-scale strikes on these militias that are backed by Iran. What's your reaction to what you've seen so far?
Well, Iran needs to fully understand, and I think they're beginning to, if you take the lives of American soldiers, there will be swift and strong consequences. And that's what we saw, at least the first sort of volley of here. And I also just think it's important to acknowledge those brave.
Yeah, dude, Iran had no idea that America would retaliate. They certainly were like, surely America won't fucking blow up positions in Syria and Iraq.
At deterring this mosaic of Iran-backed.
What happens to like my Iraqi and Syrian chatters? Like, well, what do they do? What is their fault? They're like fucking scared shitless. What did they do? They didn't do shit.
Decades now, and I fought them myself for 27 months in combat in Iraq, where they killed some of my close friends and fellow soldiers. We need to make clear coming after U.S. soldiers is unacceptable. I think this is an important first step, but as the president said, and I expect that we will see more to come.
What about the concerns over escalation? There are no strikes, as we know, inside Iran tonight, but Iran has some extremely powerful proxies outside of Iraq and Syria, namely Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen. Do you think that there's a chance that they ratchet things up as a result of what's happening right now?
I think it was a really important decision by the president to specifically strike the IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, and the Quds Force. These are really the puppeteers.
Yeah, they're doing this is the most precise. Guys, we are so precise. So get ready for the libtards on Reddit and all over Twitter to like defend these acts, to be like, dude, it's the most precise. Fuck around and find out. Fafo, dude. Fafo. It's like, guess what, dude? You don't have health care, okay? You're going to die alone with a shit ton of medical debt, okay? Fuck around and find out. That's right. But hey, guess what, dude? Some fucking dude that also has, the same class interest as you flew out there and blew up entire fucking neighborhoods with like other brown people living in those neighborhoods. And they did it at the behest of the military industrial complex. And you didn't even see a fucking penny of that. But hey, at least you feel good because America's dick's big, right? America's dick is so hard. It's so hard, baby. That's right. Fafo.
Congressman, when you look again at what was struck by these bombers in Iraq and Syria, some 85 targets, 125 precision munitions, you touched on it off the top. What else do you think the Defense Department should be doing in the coming days in terms of other targeting?
Well, we've been getting regularly briefed on this. Of course, can't share the full details from a classification perspective, but there's no shortage of targets that our incredible intelligence community and DoD have developed, continue to develop, to give the president additional options. And I think it's all about getting that calibration right. I think this seems to be, from what we know, one of, if not the most significant.
It's pretty funny also that like they literally recognize, at least there's enough people in the State Department that recognize that like America's actions such as this one greatly contribute to the Iranian influence in the region growing. Why are there so many IRGC positions in Iraq and Syria? Is a question one must ask itself. Okay? It is almost identical to why the Palestinian population basically supports Hamas unconditionally whenever Israel is fucking attacking them. How do you think this happens? How? The only time de-escalation has occurred in this region is usually through collaboration, okay? Collaboration with the Iranian forces. That's it. The idea that these guys are like all barbarian, bloodthirsty monsters that cannot be reasoned with is a continuation of the dehumanization propaganda that Israel engages in whenever they talk about fucking Palestinians. Okay? This is a whole ass state. You're out of your mind at that point.
In the facts. So this is all linked is really what I'm saying. And what needs to happen, number one, in Gaza is the return of the hostages, our American citizens and Israeli citizens, and a real defeat of Hamas. That's why, by the way, we need to even more urgently get this funding flowing to our partners, not only in Israel, but in Ukraine and Taiwan. The world is watching. Putin is watching, as well as the Iranian regime, and our allies are watching too, what our resolve is. And so this is an important step to signify our resolve.
Yeah, without question, it is all interconnected, and there are a lot of parties that are watching. Congressman Pat Ryan of New York, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I want to get straight back to our Oren Lieberman at the Pentagon. Oren, you have an update.
Yeah, America keeps going, oh, dude, we got to destroy the Ayatollah. We got to destroy the Ayatollah. And then they do everything in their motherfucking power, basically, to make this a popular dude. These guys have one speed. Okay, the Iranian theocracy has one speed. Okay, and that is fuck America. We're the guys who are going to do our very fucking best to fuck America up. Okay, they got nothing else, dude. That's what they're riding for. That's what they got. That's the only thing they have. That's all you're doing. And Israel, ironic because many of those people also understand Israel as an extension of the United States of America. Okay? It makes no goddamn sense unless you believe that permanent war is the only way that we can have some semblance of an economy. That's it, dude. That's it. Every single person that constantly talks about it, like, oh my God, like, the Iranian regime, we have to deal with the Iranian regime. Yeah, let's put sanctions on Iran. Yeah, let's make the conditions worse for Iranian people. Well, they recognize that you are the reason why the conditions are bad. So now all of a sudden it's your fault again. So if you understand how the situation works for the Palestinians in Gaza, for example, and you're like, not shocked why the Palestinians in Gaza don't fucking shit on Hamas, but instead hate Israel way more than they hate Hamas, then you should understand it is an identical parallel with respect to our dumb fuck Americans who are celebrating this shit right now, not realizing that, like, we are the Israel of the situation. Israel is the America in that situation. This is how you let extremist factions continue to dominate permanently, because you are objectively worse than them. Okay? To an American, we don't understand that. People go, what do you mean, Hasan? We're worse than the Iranian regime? They fucking kill people. They kill protesters. Okay? So does America. America goes over there to kill motherfuckers over there. They're killing their own people. There is no circumstance, unless someone is like directly related to the State Department or some shit, unless they're like literally like a part of the MEK or whatever, there's no world in which someone who lives in Iran is going to look at that and go, I know these bombs are being dropped on me, let's say, right? Which we're not bombing Iran directly, but, or Syria or Iraq, when you see American bombs being dropped in your neighborhood to blow up a munitions depot, okay? No fucking Syrian or Iraqi person is going to look at that and go, well, you know who I hate the most, though, in this situation? Iran. No. They're going to hate you. You're the one bombing them. Why the fuck wouldn't they hate you? It makes the most sense to hate you. From the American perspective, they look at it and they go, well, what do you mean? Why do they hate America? They hate us because they ain't us, right? It's like, no, they hate us because we killed them, okay? We destabilized them. We killed them. We're awful. We're monstrous. And then we celebrate it on television like this. Americans get scared shitless when you see like the Iranian parliament like burning an American flag or burning an Israeli flag. And it's like, why wouldn't they do that? Of course they're going to do that. Look at what we're doing. We're fucking monsters, man. There's no world in which you could justify this kind of coverage. You can't do this. You can't do this and at least not expect people to fucking despise you. Okay?
Forces, their reasoning so as not to embarrass the Iraqi government. But another group that has carried out multiple attacks on U.S. forces, the Al-Nujaba movement, have said they'll keep attacking U.S. forces. So there's no one clear answer about where Iranian-backed militias go from here. That's something we'll have to see, especially after these broader strikes. Do they have the...
That's reductive. The Iraqi Syrian MGs were in favor of us when we were cleansing ISIS. Yeah. You know what's funny about that? You said that's reductive. Except you know who else was fucking cleansing ISIS? The Iranian Revolutionary Guard and the subsequent proxy militias that they created. So what do you mean? Yeah, exactly. The notion that like we welcome them as heroes in our country is a silly one because no, they did not welcome Americans as liberators, okay? They see America as the responsible party for ISIS to exist to begin with.
Of targeting that could come in the next few days, the next few weeks, this multi-stage operation that they've been talking about for several days now. Would you expect that to broaden out beyond this area that we've been talking about, that this border between Iraq and Syria, to elsewhere in the Middle East?
I think it's possible that it could expand a little bit beyond where we are. So we talked a little bit earlier about the Euphrates River Valley being kind of the center of this operation, at least that appears to be the case at the moment. What I was thinking about as we were putting the maps up on, in the graphics on
the screen here. Yeah, that's not true. The U.S. was not welcomed.
The other thing that we
Syrians
could potentially do.
Iraq is a Syria's 10,000% supported regional forces, not the U.S. I'm a fucking Iraqi. I know. Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't fucking welcome the American forces. The American forces did the exact same shit that the Israeli occupying force is doing to that population. Okay? Here's the sad reality. The veterans in this chat will unironically defend that and will tell you that that is what I'm saying is true. The veterans that you know, ask them. Maybe some of them will be honest. Maybe others will lie to you. But the reality is, we were the Israeli occupying force of Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay? So why the fuck would the local population look at that and go, oh, it's sick, sir. Thank you. Would you be comfortable? It's just hard. It's hard to conceptualize this. Okay, it's hard to conceptualize this as an American citizen. So like I have no analog. I have no way of like helping you conceptualize this level of like violence and fear, right? Because like if I tell you like, what if the Chinese invaded America and had like a tremendously superior military, like infinitely more superior, just eviscerated our air defense. They have air superiority. We have no way to retaliate against that, right? And then there's like a group of people that they had propped up that turned around. Like the only analogy you can use is aliens. Exactly. That's how much of an imbalance there is between the American forces and the civilian population. It's like if aliens came to the United States of America, it was just like ripping us apart. Okay, just straight lasering us. Like, would you think that they are the good guys? Maybe there was also another militia force that was created that was also fucking awful, okay, and violent, and then the aliens started killing them. I'm pretty sure you would not appreciate the aliens in that circumstance. You would still think the aliens are the bad guys. Lloyd Austin put out a laughable statement. Yeah, he said that there's more to come, right? Which included 85 targets in Iraq and Syria that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and affiliated militias use to attack U.S. forces. As the start of our response, the president has directed additional attacks to hold the IRGC and affiliated militias accountable for their attacks on the U.S. and coalition forces. These will unfold at times and places of our choosing. We do not seek conflict in the Middle East or anywhere else, but the president and I will not tolerate attacks on American forces. We will take all necessary action to defend the United States, our forces, and our interests. Yeah, we are engaging in de-escalatory acts
on our
of
side
bombing.
for that, but there also are signaling reasons, as you're alluding to, and those signaling reasons are very much, hey, we can do.
By the way, this is like in many ways very similar to the Trump situation with Qasem Soleimani. Not as like out of pocket as Qasem Soleimani for sure, but depending on Iranian restraint in this circumstance, either this launches into broader conflict, or if they consider this retaliation to be like enough, I guess, and proportional, it's entirely dependent on the Iranian response here. Whether this, like, it's Iranian restraint that will stop this from turning into World War III, and not America is what I mean. Just like with the Trump situation when he executed Qasem Soleimani, okay. The reason why it did not turn into a much larger issue was directly a consequence of Iranian restraint. Well, I guess they weren't super restrained. They blew up that fucking aircraft, the airplane. But then COVID happened, and basically there was like they were too busy dealing with all that shit instead of like hitting America.
Get a handle on the unrest that recently has been rocking Iran, continue perhaps to make money or technological benefit from its trading with Russia, assisting Russia in its war in Ukraine, and also too the larger, more strategic, potentially terrifying question here for the region, which is the alleged pursuit of Iran of a nuclear weapon. Their enrichment of uranium, well, it got to 83% or so, say some UN nuclear watchdogs in the past month. So rapid.
I know he killed a fuckload of ISIS, but is there any reason at all to think Soleimani was a bad guy? Yes. Definitely. I mean, I'm not like, dude, this is a thing that people don't understand. I'm not like pro-Iranian government at all. Okay? But yes, he was not a good guy. Okay? Now, the problem is even like a bad guy looks like a much better guy than motherfucking America. It's like Hasan Nasrallah, okay? The general secretary of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Outside of our names being the same, we don't agree on much, okay? I mean, he's like the type of dude who's like, yeah, we got to kill gay people. You know what I mean? Sorry, if you suck the dick, you're going to die. That's the type of shit he's on, okay? Not a good guy in other circumstances. However, because how fucking bad Israel is, he is the moral actor in that situation, regardless of his own personal politics. Bro, not true Lamau. No, there is like literally, what are you talking about? My leader, bro, not true. No, Hasan Nasrallah definitely is homophobic. It's like laughable to even bring that up as like as a talking point, but he definitely is not. Come on, dog. He definitely is not like, yeah, but not like that. Yes, like that. Not like he's executing gay people in the streets. I'm not saying that at all. Okay, I'm not saying that. But like, yeah, more like here's the legal processes in which like if you are found to be guilty of being gay, you will be put to death type situation. Not like we're going to throw you off the building because we suspect you of being gay. It's a little bit more streamlined than that, but it doesn't matter because that's not the point. Stop imposing Western views on these people. Wait, what do you mean Western views? Like, I don't think it's should be illegal to be gay. Okay. That's fucking idiotic. That's not a Western perspective. That's just my perspective. Okay. However, in this circumstance, it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Because you know who kills way more gay Arabs? Okay. Israel. What do you think? You think they're making a distinction when they're fucking bombing Palestinians, when they bomb their fucking schools, when they bomb their hospitals? Or they're like, are there gay Palestinians in here? We can't kill them. Yeah, he led forces that participated and coordinated the killing of tens of thousands of Iraq and Syria between 2012 and 2018. He was the key to Aleppo bombings. Assad and his forces killed many Sunni Muslim civilians in Iraq and Syria who they claim were terrorists as they lived in areas under ISIS control. Nah, bro, if you got a cock in your mouth, the drones will turn around. Yeah. But I hope people understand, like, it doesn't matter. Like, what is this? New York Times is doing Understanding the Middle East Through the Animal Kingdom? Wait, what? What was the original title? I think they updated it. I clicked the link. Yeah, it's not the Western view to support the LGBTQ, by the way. Gay people and trans people exist all over the Middle East, everywhere around the world, for the record. Friedman, Middle East animals? What the fuck? What did he write? Did they delete it? This was the original article title. Understanding the Middle East Through the Animal Kingdom. Nice. I think there's a conflation between being gay and under Western influence, though. Yeah, it's dumb as fuck. I have always maintained the position that no, being gay is not a fucking Western value, okay? A lot of dumb fucks that are reactionary in their own countries push this line as well. I despise it. I think it's dumb as shit. However, you know what's worse? Okay? You know what actually stops any kind of momentum in civil liberty dead in its fucking tracks? You already know what I'm going to say. It's called imperialism, okay? Because gay Palestinians or gay Lebanese folk, well, Lebanon is not even a good example of this, but like gay Turkish people, even like when they are too busy, well, it's not like they're being dominated through soft power for the most part, but countries where there are gay people, okay, like in Iran, for example, they have no time or place to be able to push back against their regressive authoritarian forms of governance when they recognize that there is a far larger superpower that is harming them and harming others like them. This is something to always consider. She's fucking dreaming so hard. All right, I'm going to read this Thomas L. Friedman article. The point is, people being able to fight for civil liberties, people being able to fight for their own civil liberties and their rights, specifically like gay rights and whatnot, is unfortunately secondary when they're being bombed or being subjugated by a foreign power. Do you understand? That's it. That's it. And America's involvement in the Middle East only further solidifies the position and standing that regressive authoritarian governments have. Because as long as they stand up against the United States of America, they will always have popular support, enough popular support. This is precisely why I always say trying to put sanctions on our enemies does not actually work in undermining the authority of the regime. It only galvanizes the support that the regime gets because people recognize that the sanctions are coming as a consequence of America. You don't make sense? Sanctions only work on allies. Then why is Saudi Arabia one of the most homophobic? What do you mean? What the fuck does that have to do with Iran? What are you talking about? You don't make sense? You think Saudi Arabia? First of all, Saudi Arabia is the way it is because of our involvement. We have propped up the Saudi family. What are you talking about? And there's also no way that there's no way that Saudi Arabia could just the Saudi Arabian population could rise up against the Saudi government in general anyway. I don't get it. Is the point you're trying to make that like Saudi Arabia is the way it is because you think it would be less homophobic without American involvement? I think American involvement simply props up the Saudi government's homophobia. But yes, I think that the American government offering military support to the Saudi family and propping up the Saudi family as like the legitimate authority certainly allows that opinion to fester and reinforces it with no pushback whatsoever. Is Islamophobia liberal style? Yeah, I think so. Probably. You're overcomplicating this. The main factor is religious versus non-religious. I live in Iran. You believe how people hate their regime? No, I'm not saying all Iranians hate the regime. What? What do you mean? They have very high trust in government and they like it. It's not like it's imposed upon them or something like that. The Oybrovian Marxist. I'm literally Muslim. Oh my God. I kind of see your point, actually. I'm literally Muslim. Oh my God. You don't think it would be less homophobic without American involvement? I kind of see your point, actually. Like, the example I can give you is this. The American-backed Erdogan regime, okay, has become more and more homophobic and increasingly worse on queer rights over the course of its like 25-year, 30-year reign. Okay? That has happened in Turkey. Who gives that regime legitimacy? Who allows the regime to continue? In either direction, it's still going to be the United States of America either letting you be as regressive as possible or dominating the entire area so you get a lot of support because you claim to be the only force that is anti-American. Erdogan, while being simultaneously propped up by the American government, has regularly also said that he is anti-America, said that he's anti-West. Is America involved in the entire MENA region? Yes, there is not a single place that America is not involved in. It is the global hegemonic superpower. Okay? Erdogan is not backed by America. Remember the 2016 coup attempt? This is a laughable argument to make. Just because America tried to coup Erdogan does not change the reality that Erdogan is still very much backed by the United States of America. Come the fuck on, brother. That's crazy. Yeah, you think... why do you think Erdogan is... I mean, first of all, this is a ridiculous thing to say because, like, we have nukes. Okay? Turkey houses American nukes. If you think that a NATO nation that houses American nukes is not almost entirely fucking controlled by the United States of America, I don't know what to tell you. There is no proof that the coup was U.S.-led, Lamau. No, the coup was absolutely U.S.-led. That is ridiculous to say that it wasn't U.S.-led. Where do you think the fucking military jets refueled their jets when they were bombing Turkish civilian population positions? They were refueled in Incirlik, the same fucking American base that houses the nukes. That's ridiculous. Who do you think was responsible for the parallel government that was basically created under the Erdogan regime from Fethullah Gulen? He lives in the motherfucking Poconos, let me tell you. That dude, 100%, Fethullah Gulen is 100% a CIA asset, okay? He lives in the Poconos, in a compound. That's crazy. The idea that there's no proof that the coup was U.S.-led is laughable. Anyway, is America involved in the MENA region because the people are a bit regressive too? People here in Morocco are pretty homophobic. Even Gen Z. Yes, dude, I know. I know. People in America are fucking homophobic. Yes, Gen Z as well. I don't know if you know this. It is all a matter of material conditions. Okay? It's a lack of access to education, lack of access to a diverse population. It's so fucking dumb. This is what people never understand. It's just like America was able to have its own internal civil rights battle for gay people and queer people in general, which, by the way, it still struggles with, for the record. Okay? But they were able to do that because everyone else was fucking getting blown up or fighting each other or constantly in a state of conflict. Homophobia exists everywhere around the planet, just like gay people exist everywhere around the planet, by the way. Anyway, wealthy motherfuckers who are diverse are also homophobic as fuck too, so it ain't an end all be all. Yes. My point is, in times of instability and volatility, reactionary sentiment thrives. Okay? And America's presence has been anything but stability, anything but stable, as it routinely has propped up authoritarian governments or defended them or justified their existence or offered them fucking military support. Or its presence in doing so has created more chaos and more instability so that these people have no way to I guess, prop themselves up and start dealing with internal social movements. There is truth to the videos and many images that you see of, like, this is what Egypt used to look like. This is what Iraq used to look like. This is what Afghanistan used to look like. As much as it's like as my easiest unfollow of my life, really, that what I'm describing to you was you've only wrote one time in the chat. You've been following since September 24th, 2020. This is the first time you wrote something and you're unfollowing because, like, what? I can't tell if it's because it's like I said homophobia is bad and wrong no matter who's doing it. My point is this, and this is why this is an argument I make all the time, okay? Our virulent racists and violent homophobes are fundies, right? Because fundamentalism is the same no matter what across the board. But our violent fundies, well, their material conditions are significantly better than, like, the violent fundamentalists in the Middle East or even in Turkey. Okay? That's why our Westboro Baptist Church will go and be like, oh, God hates F words or whatever. But then they go to Applebee's and eat their jalapeno poppers. They're not living in an environment where they're going to, like, rise up in arms and start fucking executing gay people and throwing them off the rooftops, because there's an environment of stability in America that is caused by our material conditions, okay? And even then, it still happens, you know? It still happens. And it will get even worse as economic instability continues in the United States of America. Maybe because they would also get arrested and jailed. There's no proof that the U.S. coup was. Why did Erdogan give all those people and guards criminal immunity the days before the coup? I'm sorry. What are you trying to say here? That, like, Fethullah Gulen didn't actually facilitate a coup in Turkey? Or that Fethullah Gulen is not a CIA asset? Because I don't give a fuck about, like, Erdogan giving his people and guards criminal immunity. I don't like Erdogan. I don't know why you think, like, I'm defending him at all. Yeah, he's a gigantic piece of shit. At most, what you're trying to assert here, I guess, is that, like, Erdogan had prior knowledge of a coup, but the fact that it was acted out, I mean, it was 100% acted out by Fethullah Gülen and his assets. Türkiye'nin yüz karasısınız. Erdoğan sizin gibi insanlar hakkında haklıydı. Arkadaş, eğer İngilizce bilsen şu anda söylediğim şeyleri anlardın. Oh, fuck! That was a good one. This guy fucked me up. He said, "You are a shame. You're ashamed of Turkey in Turkish." And I was like gonna fucking shit on him and be like, if you knew how to speak English, you would understand that I'm currently saying that it was Fethullah Gulen that did the coup against an American that's saying it, but he fucked me up. Oh my God, my head hurts. That was too good. That debate was too powerful. Fuck. Fuck that debate. That debate was too powerful. That was multilingual. He cooked me. He cooked me hard. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. You'll get cooked as hard unless you subscribe for $5 or for free. Psychic damage. Okay. Fuck. I don't even know how to recover from this. It hurt itself in confusion. Yes. Was it good to Google Translate? It was all right. It wasn't that great, but I still believed it. He hit me in my own native tongue. That's fucked up. As an American, I got Shalma, dude. This guy came in with a white boy swag. Okay. He came in with a white boy swag. He Shalma'd me. White boy comes in with Turkish, stuns Turkish speaker. No, 9.92 out of 10 is not the highest. We've gotten 10 before. Turkish deli owner shocked into submission. Okay. Where the fuck was I? Hasan, you look mad hurt. No, I'm not. I'm actually kind of proud. That was really good. Turks are Indians, bro. Sorry to break it to you. No, Indians are Turks. Well, Native Americans are Turks. All right, let's read Thomas L. Friedman, opinion columnist. Understanding the Middle East through the animal kingdom. Wow. Surely the New York Times would never write racist screeds. Okay. My guess is that the next week or so is likely to be the most important in the Gaza war since Hamas launched it on October 7th. First of all, right off the jump, immediately, opinion editor, opinion columnist on the paper of record saying that, like, one, it's the Gaza war. At least he's saying Gaza war instead of saying, like, Israel versus Hamas. But he's still saying Hamas started it, which is crazy. This did not start on October 7th. Dumb fuck. Anyway, let's move on. The U.S. will probably retaliate against pro-Iranian forces and Iranian agents in the Middle East that Washington believes are responsible for the attack on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 soldiers on January 28th. Once again, 30,000 almost Palestinians that have been slaughtered by the Israeli forces. Not important in the Gaza war. 3 American military members died with a drone strike on a Jordanian secret base. That's very important. We must retaliate. Just to help you understand, like, these distinctions or these statements are made with, like, underlying premises that you don't even pay attention to because you take it for granted. It's just, but it's ridiculous. Okay? At the same time, we could get a Gaza ceasefire deal with an exchange of Israeli hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. And the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, is going to try to bring the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel an option, normalization with Saudi Arabia in return for commitment to engage with the Palestinian Authority on a long-term plan for a Palestinian state. Once again, dumb, monkey-brained Amerifats making statements about Palestinian existence without ever talking to a fucking Palestinian, without trying to understand the Palestinian position. The Palestinian Authority is the least popular Palestinian organization. They are almost as unpopular as Israel, which is understandable because they are seen by the Palestinians as a continuation of the Israeli security apparatus, because that is what they are. The notion that you would put the Palestinian Authority in charge of anything where the Palestinian people live is so stupid. Of course, this is yet another instance of history repeating itself, okay? Because this is what colonial superpowers do. They go in, they find a group of collaborators that are corrupt, and they say, you rule this population now. It has always happened. And then we sit there and act like this is actually the best solution. It's fucking ridiculous. How all of these are going to interact, I don't know. By the way, I'm a fucking idiot. I just want to say something, okay? Even motherfuckers like Bo the Fifth advocate for the PA. It's so fucking stupid, dude. Yes, bro, because they're fucking white. That's it. Whiteness in this circumstance literally fucking causes people's brains to shut off a little bit. The Palestinian Authority is profoundly unpopular. The Palestinian Authority is just the Israeli government with a Palestinian name. Okay? There is no world in which you will maintain stability for Palestinians by forcibly putting the Palestinian Authority into a position of power. Please, if you don't, look, here's the thing. My job here, okay? My job here is to try and explain this to Americans because at least I look white and am American, okay? Because I know most white motherfuckers in America are not going to be listening to a Palestinian person at all. They're like, oh, well, you're a terrorist. What the fuck do you know? So please listen to me. I'm Hank Pecker. I'm a racist guy, okay? I hate Arabs. I hate Muslims, okay? But listen to me. As much as I hate them Arabs, them Muslims, them Muslimans, okay? Listen to my words. This guy at the New York Crimes has no fucking clue what he's saying. Must be a goddamn libtard talking about this kind of shit. I've done tours in the Middle East as I killed Arabs, and I learned in all my tours when I was killing Arabs that Arabs like to be ruled by people that are popular. And let me tell you what the Palestinian Authority isn't. Popular. They are not popular at all. They are less popular than Hamas. Okay? They are less popular than Hamas. So there is no world in which these Arabs will be ruled by the Palestinian Authority. Okay? That's right. Don't believe this goddamn libtard talking about Palestinian Authority. It's not going to work. Now, another problem here is the notion that Saudi Arabia has a say in what happens to the Palestinians. Saudi Arabia has been a U.S. ally in perpetuity. They've been working with Israel for quite some time, as a matter of fact. I might be a racist Islamophobe, but even I understand not all Arabs like one another. As a matter of fact, even I know there's a different kind of Arab. They call themselves Persians, like the cat. Iran. Turns out Iran more in support of the of the Arabs in Hamas, the Palestinians, than Saudi Arabia is, even though Saudi Arabia is the same kind of Arab as the Palestinians are, brother. Okay? Now let's get back to this goddamn libtard and how he's talking about this shit. Okay? How all these people are going to interact, I do not know. Yes, you don't know because you're a fucking idiot, but you could read a little bit. You could read a little bit, but you don't want to because why the fuck would you? No one is paying you to actually understand and like deliver information that is correct in this matter. So why would you do that? Personally, I sometimes prefer to think about the complex relations between these parties with analogies from the natural world. The U.S. is like an old lion. Oh, brother. We are still the king of the Middle East, jungle, more powerful than any single actor, but we have so many scars from so many fights that we just can't show up, roar loudly, and expect that everyone will do what we want or scamper away. We are one tired lion, and that's why other predators are no longer afraid to test us. Iran is to geopolitics what a recently discovered species of parasitoid wasp is to nature. What does this parasitoid wasp do? According to Science Daily, the wasp injects its eggs into live caterpillars, and the baby wasp larvae slowly eat the caterpillar from the inside out, bursting out once they have eaten their fill. Is there a better description of Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iraq today? They are the caterpillars. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is the wasp. The Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Kataib, Hezbollah are the eggs that hatch inside the host. Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Iraq, and eat it from the inside out. Yeah. Here's why this analogy is so fucking stupid. Well, one, you're calling them like a parasitic bug, which, you know, only good guys do that. Famously. Yeah. Famously, only good guys have historically ever called their enemies parasitic bugs. Okay? Another great indication that we are the good guys here. Okay? Because that's what good guys do. But also, this is so stupid because he talks about America being, U.S. being lion, sir. Okay? U.S. lion too, sir, he says. But old lion with many scar. However, it completely destroys any kind of autonomy or any kind of interest that like other people might have or what their feelings might be with Iranian involvement in the region. Not everyone is fond of it, certainly. But guess what? It legitimizes the Iranian opposition when, you know, America is bombing the countries or America's extension, Israel, is bombing these countries. That's it. So it's not like the parasitic monster that is Iran came out of fucking nowhere. They're not operating in this like naturalistic way where they have to like eat the wasps or whatever. It is cool though that everyone in the Middle East is an insect while we are a lion. We here in America, we are the lion. Lebanon is a caterpillar, another insect. Iran is also an insect. Everyone is an insect, actually. Just not the white guys. Anyway. Like when we first started with the animal kingdom analogy, I thought at least he would like, I don't know, say that like the Iranians are like hyenas or something, right? No, he just straight up went, no, Iranians are insects. Here's the animal kingdom. Iranians, bugs. Lebanese, also bugs, but a different kind of bug. They're all bugs. They're vermin and bugs. I knew it was going to be racist, but at least it would be like a cool type of racism and not straight up like a Nazi type of racism. Anyway. Okay. Iran is parasitoid wasps. We have no counter strategy that safely and efficiently kills the wasp without setting fire to the whole jungle. Hamas is like the trapdoor spider. He's still going. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Fu18 is right. I'm completely misrepresenting his argument. He said the Palestinian, the Hamas is like a spider. It's like an arachnid. So technically not a bug, I guess. When the opinion piece is due tomorrow and you just took an edible, you took an edible while watching like, I don't know, like a nature documentary. And you're like, whoa, I just figured this whole shit out, dude. The way trapdoor spiders operate, according to a nature site, is that the spider leaps out at great speed, seizes his prey, and hauls it back into the burrow to be devoured, all in a fraction of a second. Trapdoor spiders are adept at camouflaging the doors of their underground nests, so they are hard to see until they're opened. Finally, Netanyahu is like a Sifaka lemur, which I got to observe in Madagascar. He's flexing, right? He just wanted to say that he went to Madagascar. Sifakas are primates that use bipedal sideways, hopping as a primary means of walking. They advance by moving side. Wait, I didn't learn anything from this article. Is the worst article they've ever written. Let's click on the lemur. I want to see. Anyway, they advance by moving sideways, waving their arms up and down, which makes them appear to be moving even more than they are. That's Bibi, always shifting side to side to stay in power and avoid going decisively backwards or forwards. Okay, he completely, like, I thought that there was going to be an analogy here with the way that these animals exist and interact with one another. Turns out he's just saying, like, different kinds of bugs that Arabs are, and also a lemur that Bibi Netanyahu is. Like, this doesn't even have, like, a point. Sometimes I contemplate the Middle East by watching CNN. Other times I prefer Animal Planet. Wait. 2007 BuzzFeed quiz ass editorial. Yeah. Which animal are you? So literally what Hans Landa told the milkman in Inglourious Basterds when he went on the anti-Semitic monologue calling Nazis hawks and Jews rats. Yeah. I think, like, what point was this? Like, what point was delivered here? I genuinely don't understand. It feels to me like he just kind of, like, normally I feel like when you make this, like, animal kingdom analogy, like, there's a whole dynamic between, like, how these animals are interacting with one another. He just said all the Arabs are bugs, America is a lion, and Benjamin Netanyahu is a lemur, which I suspect eats bugs, right? Also, what is Israel? Like, even when he talks about Hamas, he's like, they're a spider. They're like a spider, and the only thing you know about the spider is that it can camouflage itself, and that's it. Dude, it's got to be sick to just be a fucking New York Times opinion columnist like this, where you don't have to say a single damn thing. No new thoughts whatsoever. And you just sit there and you're like, Arabs are bugs, actually. They're fucking parasitic. They're like vermin. And that's it. Hello, I'm Thomas Friedman, give me $300,000.
Hamas, etc. So this is all also part of a political dysfunction in that part of the world, which now, because of October 7th and the horror that happened, it has made our leaders decide that it is really time to get serious about really having a political solution to this, because otherwise it will be endless. It will. All of this will continue. The threats to Israel will continue. These proxies and things will continue.
Thomas Friedman is Obama's favorite New York Times columnist, right? By the way, yeah, 2 Pulitzers for international reporting, by the way, that guy, the bug guy. And I think he was Obabe's favorite, right? Wasn't it him? Yep. Are you fucking kidding me? No, man. No. Dude. Positions of authority legitimately have this profound effect in making average people who are unsuspecting immediately go, oh, this guy must be like really smart. After all, he is a fucking writer for the New York Times. You would never expect the columnist of the New York Times to be just an absolute fucking dumbass. Right? Why would you?
We're not looking for war. Christian and MJ, stand by. I want to go straight back to Natasha quickly. Natasha, I believe you have some news.
Yeah, I just wanted to flag here that the Lieutenant General that we have been, that briefed reporters just moments ago, he did say explicitly that these strikes were chosen with, quote, an idea that there would likely be casualties. He said, I would tell you that we know that there are militants that use these locations, IRGC, as well as Iranian-aligned militia group personnel who use these locations, and they specifically made these targeting decisions with the idea that there would likely be casualties associated with people inside those facilities. Now, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby, he did say that the U.S. has taken great pains to make sure that there were no civilian casualties in those areas, but the senior military official tonight telling us that there are likely to be casualties among the personnel affiliated with these militia groups. Alex.
All right, Natasha, MJ, Christian, thank you all so much. I want to bring in former Defense Secretary and former CIA Director Leon Panetta, along with the former Commander of U.S. Central Command, retired General Joseph Votel. General Votel, this was your area of operation. This is where Central Command run things. I want to get your thoughts right off the top of your reaction to what we've learned about these strikes in Iraq and Syria tonight, 7 facilities across those 2 countries.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be with you and with Secretary Panetta. I think this is about what we would have expected. It looks like these strikes were really oriented on going after the infrastructure, the locations, possibly facilitators associated with this, and was designed by its scope and scale to have as big of an immediate impact as it could possibly have. Certainly, it probably hasn't gotten all the leaders and others that are associated with that. Perhaps that'll come in the coming hours or days, but it looks to me to be a pretty good strike against those persons, those facilities most directly linked to the attack last Sunday.
And Secretary Panetta, we just heard Natasha at the Pentagon reporting that the Pentagon designed these strikes essentially with an idea that there would be casualties. So they were hoping, it appears, that there would be casualties in response to the deaths of these 3 Americans last weekend. Do you think what happened tonight, in just half an hour, we're told, will be...
Your community is so bad. If you say Nazi shit and racist shit, you get clapped. It's so bad. I know. Sorry, guys. I want to apologize to all the fucking weirdo Nazis in the community. Like, when you come in here and you want to say, like, free speech, like Nazi shit under the auspices of free speech, and you get immediately clapped up. Sorry, sucks to suck. Very unfair. We are not a fair community. If you're going to come in here and say some reactionary dumb shit, we will definitely ban you. No, that guy is joking. I'm pretty sure. Not outing themselves as a Nazi.
Bombers hitting 85 targets and targeting the IRGC, the Iranian forces there. And I think it had to make the point that, yes, we are going to send a message that you're going to pay a heavy price and hopefully that's the case. We won't know till we get all the damage assessments, but I think this was an important first step.
General Votel, if you were still in your former position as the head of Central Command and you were talking with Secretary Austin about the path forward, what would you be recommending?
Well, first off, what we should expect is in the next few hours here, 24 hours, there'll be a lot of evaluation of the strike. Restruct than they are, but certainly now moving on to perhaps continue to go after the broader network here of leaders and others that will respond to this. It's really important to appreciate that the way that we target these networks is we do learn by how they respond to this. They'll clearly be talking about this. We'll learn something about this, and that will inform hopefully the next series of strikes that we're going after. And of course, we've got lots of tools in the kit bag here. We're talking largely about the military tools, but we got diplomatic, we've got economic, we've got informational tools, we've got great cyber capabilities, we've got an extraordinary intelligence community that can be brought to bear. So there's a lot that we can do in the coming days, and I would be trying to encourage us to look broadly at all these capabilities we have to create the biggest effect that we can on Iran. And as the Secretary says, send the unambiguous message that this is unacceptable and that we are holding Iran responsible for this.
That balance was struck in terms of ratcheting things up to send the message to Iran, but not going so far as to provoke an Iranian response?
It's so weird that we're doing this. I do feel like I'm going crazy a little bit again. I mean, I guess every day I feel like that, but it's just like there's no question that this is like it is wild to me that this is being presented as though it is a de-escalatory bombing. Like this is an act that is inherently de-escalating. Like this is actually like it's being sold as like something that is good. Like it's totally valid, totally just, totally good. 85 positions bombed in 2 different countries. And there's not even like a single person that turns around and like maybe people don't believe it. Okay? Maybe my point is this, okay? I'll explain it like this. Why is there not a single person that is at least even going, "Hey, maybe this is not a good thing to do"? Like, doesn't that strike you as odd that there is not a single person? Like, is this that far off of an idea that it cannot be represented in mainstream media? That, like, it's only former generals and military contractors, like current military contractors, that can talk about how fucking sick this bombing campaign is? That we can't have one fucking guy be like, "Hey, I have family in Iraq. We think this shit sucks." For example, is this too unique of a position to be represented in major media? Am I asking for something that is like that outside of reason, outside of the bounds of reason, to be like, "Hey, you guys are supposed to be the most trusted name in news"? Why is it that it's always like the most insane generals and it's like the confines of which? What is this? By the way, with respect to Soleimani and the acts of resistance that was targeted today, I don't know if you ever watched this short New York Times video, but they're really good at explaining things. We tracked Iran's covert military unit on social media. Here's what we found. Major General Qasem Soleimani of Iran was everywhere. His persona is a clue into how the elite Quds force he commanded operates. Come on, man. Stop acting like CNN is not fully on board with another war. No, it is. My point is, however, that is there no, like, this is a serious question. Is there no journalistic reason, okay? is there no journalistic reason to have at least one, just one opposing argument, just a different perspective? Because everything that you hear in mainstream media is literally within the confines of how hard we are going to bomb. Okay? Like the most peace-loving person that is allowed to be on these broadcasts is still going, of course we're going to bomb. And these are de-escalatory acts of bombing. But like, you know, we'll wait a couple weeks before we bomb Iran, right? Depending on how they retaliate. And it's like, that's the most woke guy that you have on? It's just so crazy. I feel like this does legitimately break the brains of a lot of boomer liberals that get all their information from CNN. You have people who want to bomb Iran right now or yesterday, and then you have people who want to bomb Iran next week. And the conversation is being had between those people. I hope the Houthis cut the Ethernet wire. No, that was a lie. That wasn't a thing that they ever said that they were going to do, by the way. That was just presented on social media. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the Ansarullah government straight up wait, what the fuck? They released a statement on that. Yeah, they oh God, my brain is like
about
breaking.
this, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. I had a long meeting, actually breakfast with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs on Wednesday.
Speaker Brown.
And one of the things that I said, and actually some of my Senate colleagues who are with me, Democrats and Republicans, is we need to unleash sanctions again. These are non-kinetic ways to reestablish deterrence, particularly with regard to the oil and gas regime. That essentially, the Biden administration has lifted the Trump administration's sanctions. I'll give you one statistic that's really important. End of the Trump administration, Iranians had about $4 billion in foreign reserves. That's not a lot. Right now they have about $70 billion. That is what they fund Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah with. We need to really crush them once again with these sanctions. And by the way, the president would get bipartisan support on this. I've directly raised this with the president of the United States, Jake Sullivan. They say they're interested. They need to do this. That's multi-pronged.
You heard General Votel there just talking about how capable the Iranian military is. How worried are you that if the U.S. were to take the fight directly to Iran, do what you're saying, striking those Iranian vessels, those ships, and sinking them, that suddenly we'd be off to the races in a conflict that engulfs the entire region and draws the U.S. yet again into another war in the Middle East?
Look, I think, and again, you can talk to members of the Pentagon on the Armed Services Committee, on the intel we read. Iran's not looking for a broader war. But they
might if you were targeting their
But here's
ships.
an issue, and I raised this with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs on Wednesday. You know, the language that we're using about, well, we worry about escalation with regard to Iran. Think about, Alex, what they're doing. They're the ones who are escalating, right? They're the ones who are killing Americans. They're the ones who are unleashing the Houthis to fire on American warships. They're the ones who killed their proxies, killed American soldiers last week. So the escalation is occurring. What we need to do, in my view...
Yeah, Iran is the one who's unleashing the Houthis, but America's not the one unleashing Israel or letting Israel run fucking... run a genocidal ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza.
President Trump did with Soleimani, but also, really importantly, undertaking these non-kinetic actions. And I guarantee you, our military would be very supportive.
Just want you to understand, next time you see like a fucking Iranian dude light up a fucking American flag and say death to America, now you know why, okay? You understand where the energy's coming from.
Tools we have that will help reestablish deterrence.
Like,
I'll give you one
it
other.
Seem like
the Iranian people
make it seem like their anger over there towards us is the same as our anger over here towards them. No, their anger towards us is very valid, very justified. Okay? It makes sense. Our anger towards them, however, is taught because you don't know shit about Iran or where it is on a fucking map or what they believe or how they want to live their lives. You've been taught that they're fucking barbaric animals. That's it. Same with Iraq. Same with Afghanistan.
Continued against U.S. facilities in the Middle East. U.S. service members, 2 of them, were killed 2 months later.
Fuck out.
So that really wasn't a
Well, I would actually respectfully disagree.
Guys, you don't have to ban every single person that tells me to get the fuck out of America, okay? Because I'm like upset with our foreign policy and how devastating it is for, places overseas, but also how devastating it is domestically. My goal is to get this guy to understand that, like, we're spending all of our resources on killing random motherfuckers over there instead of like fixing our roads. You know what I mean? Fixing our goddamn crippling infrastructure. You don't have, next time your internet shuts down when there's like light rain, depending on where you are in America, okay? Or next time you get into an accident and you need to go to the hospital and the biggest fear isn't whether you're going to survive or not, but instead how much that thing is going to cost you, that surgery is going to cost you. Remember that is a decision that people that run this country have made for you. Isolationist, question mark? Sanctions make sense. Is their government isolationist? Brother, I am a product of globalism. The reason why I, despite living in Turkey for the first 18 years of my life and being a native Turkish speaker, can talk and seem like a white American whose name is Hank is because of globalism, is because of international cooperation, it's because of American cultural imperialism. Okay? Trying to say that this is like isolationist is so idiotic. I believe in peace. I believe in international cooperation. I believe in collaboration. America's actions, however, are not cooperative at all. I was asking if you think we should be more isolationist. No, I don't like the isolationist concept because oftentimes it's like some weird reactionary approach. Okay? I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking simply that we should not interfere in the business of other countries in the way that we do and allow them to thrive. We should collaborate with them. We should cooperate with them. We should allow them to democratize on their own instead of like consistently meddling in their affairs and causing them to shut down. Yes, I am an internationalist.
Many others thought they could do and somehow defeat Iran his way. So what he decided to do, if you remember, was pull out of the Iran nuclear deal, pull the United States out of the Iran nuclear deal to the extent that it then collapsed. Now,
and then where is USA allowed to intervene and when is it justified? The United States, just like Israel, has a duty and responsibility to protect its own citizens. Anything that moves outside of those boundaries is, depending on most of these circumstances, like obviously I wouldn't say the same thing about like World War II or whatever, but in most of those circumstances, you do not have a right to like go on an offensive conquest. Okay?
is that these are tried and tested but didn't work methods, and there is just a huge political crisis in that region that has to be really solved. And don't forget, right now, whatever people think in the United States, in the Middle East, in the Arab and Muslim world, they look at the war in Gaza, frankly, as Biden's war as well. So yes, they're trying to get the peace and negotiations and get normalization, but this is the crux of it. This is the crux of it.
All right, Christian, thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
It's sad that Christiane Amanpour is like one of the sanest voices on CNN too. She's at least like one of the more educated voices. That's how bad it is. Funny thread related to what you were talking about earlier. Yeah, I saw this. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Lebanese and Syrian people are beefing like they're not from the same fucking country is absolutely pathetic shit. There was a news broadcast here in Lebanon a week or so ago where a guest was talking about the insidiousness of Syrians learning the Lebanese dialect and therefore being impossible to detect. Subhanallah, Damascus is as close to Beirut as Irvine is to LA. It's not Mars. Yeah. I mean, there's still like distinct cultural features regardless of proximity because like you can make the argument about like Turkey versus Syria. You know what I mean? Like entirely different language. Like the people are similar to one another. The food is similar to one another. It should be very easy to coexist. And yet, you know, there's always fissures. But it's not like that. They're a different civilization. You're the same civilization. You're not Phoenician. You are the same people. Oh, God. The real point is to never go to Irvine. Yeah, no. Seamus is making fun of a distinct type of Lebanese attitude that is kind of, I would say, Western centric. Every fucking, like the Lebanese people do this, Turks do this, Persians do this, where like everyone in that region is like, we are not Arab, okay? God forbid you say we are Arab. We are fucking not Arab. It is, there's a lot of anti-Arab sentiment. Sorry, Kai's being really cute. Since when Turks are Arab? No, I'm not saying Turks are Arab. But we are very close. Same with Armenians. Same with Greeks. Aren't you anti-America? No, I love America. That's why I live here. Eye bleach? Wait, what do you mean? This is cute as hell. How are you gonna say this is eye bleach, dude? Bro, it's like saying I'm not white, I'm European, shut the fuck up. We're all Homo sapiens. Race doesn't exist in humans, by the way. No, I mean, there's like cultural differences and whatnot, but this goes back to your Dutch people don't have an accent take and you gaslighting motherfuckers and you gaslighting me, motherfucker. Also, Iranians are not Arab. See, look, Mehmet Balshola immediately coming in. Yes, they're not. Persians are not Arab. Turks are not Arab. Phoenicians are not Arab. A lot more Arabs in Lebanon, though, than other countries. So it's a little bit different for Lebanon. But there is a very distinct type of Lebanese person that despises, oftentimes they're Christian, not pointing any fingers there, that despises being called Arab. Plenty of Lebanese people, of course, don't mind being called Arab. They are Arab, Lebanese Muslims in general. Okay? But if you were to ask some Lebanese people whether they're Arab or not, they would be very upset. Okay?
Sites here, 85 separate locations. And the president's indicated that there will be more to come. And let's see the damage. And remember, there are Iranian forces not only inside Iran, but around the region. I do like to remind my colleagues that I remember a meeting with President Trump where he indicated at that point that he was going to strike Iran itself. Mm-hmm. He thought better of it and decided a time and place where he could effect the most damage without breaking into full-fledged war with Iran. And it was literally 6 months later before he took out General Soleimani, a bad guy who was the head of the Iranian Quds Force.
In Iraq.
All right, let's watch the General Soleimani video from the New York
Iranian
Times.
General Qasem Soleimani was showing up everywhere. In Aleppo, Baghdad, Beirut, with Iran's leader, with Iraq's former prime minister. It wasn't always this way. For years, Soleimani...
Damn, dude. He's got fucking rings, brother. That's fire. He's got some sick-ass rings. It's not the point, but come on.
For years, Soleimani was an under-the-radar operator in the Middle East. He ran an elite military unit
He's
called
also
the Quds
thick with
Force.
it.
It's an arm of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps that works...
Also, I will say this, like the Hezbollah flag is kind of fire. Okay? And the Quds Force, like the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, like the AK, like it's not even an AK, I guess. It's like, I don't know what kind of gun this is. Don't say that until you know what it says. No, but it's true. It's cool as fuck to have like a fucking hand holding up an AK. I think that's I don't know if it's an AK or not. It goes kind of hard. It literally looks like bodies for a few seconds at 320, by the way. Okay, thank you. It says give them back what you can. Yeah, the marketing guys popped off with this, okay? You put an AK on the flag, it's going to look kind of badass. What is this? You ever play this game about the 1979 revolution? Wait, what? 1979 revolution, Black Friday? Wait, what the fuck?
The bubble has nothing on me.
1 week back and you're pulling this crap?
My part is taking pictures, not choosing sides.
Quick, grab the plans. We need to go now.
Okay. I'm a photographer.
Stand your ground!
Will you say something?
For every one they kill, we'll kill 100. Let's just get this over with.
Hi, Rizzo June. You weren't a part of that craziness today, were you?
This seems nutty. I'm pretty sure this game is infamously bad. I've seen it on one of the worst games ever video. There should be an American-based Shenmue or Yakuza type game. CIA Studios made it. I don't play enough really bad games. That's true. Really bad games are kind of fun to play on stream.
works to expand Iran's influence in the Middle East using covert military and intelligence tactics. But in 2014, things started to change. The elusive commander was spotted in the public eye more often. We started seeing him with militias, on battlefields, at funerals. He even had his own Instagram. We combed through hundreds of images and videos, many of them propaganda. From Soleimani's early military days to his recent stint.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's Instagram. Like, this is why I'm saying like propaganda is not a bad word, even though they're using it in this situation as to mean like to imply that it's bad. It's like, yeah, it's his Instagram. What do you mean? It's like looking at this stuff is so dumb. It's like looking at like an Instagram model's Instagram, be like, well, they're doing a lot of propaganda here for the fucking Maldives or something.
As a social media sensation. These appearances help paint a more complete picture of how the Quds Force operates, through a network of proxy forces or local militias, along a key corridor that Iran calls the axis of resistance.
Yeah, he's an Insta baddie.
It stretches through...
That's why Trump took him out, because he's a bit of a... He's got a thick one, too. Qasem Soleimani. Like, I saw him walking. I saw him walking over there. He's got thick ones.
Through Iraq and Syria to Lebanon.
سپاه آمد اتصال سرزمینی بین مقاومت درست کرد. یعنی ایران را به عراق متصل کرد. عراق را به سوریه متصل کرد. سوریه را به لبنان متصل کرد.
Let's start in Lebanon. These are rare images that appear to have been taken very recently. They show Soleimani with Hassan Nasrallah, who is the leader of Hezbollah, a Lebanon-based militant group.
أما قاسم سليماني ليس شأنا إيرانيا بحتا. قاسم سليماني يعني كل محور المقاومة.
Hezbollah is the archetype for how the Quds Force operates. They helped found the group and fund it to this day. This support fueled Hezbollah's rise as a political party and as a military threat to
Dude, look at those glasses. Those are fire.
Israel, Iran's arch enemy. These are Hezbollah fighters posing with Iranian weapons. And here's a video of Soleimani with the senior commander of Hezbollah. The group gives Iran a key foothold in the region, along this corridor we told you about. This photo from 2013 reveals just how strong the bond is between these two groups. It shows a prominent Hezbollah member at a funeral for Soleimani's mother in Tehran. 2 years later, that Hezbollah member died, and Soleimani himself made the trip to Beirut to pay his respects. He's seen here praying at his grave. Now, let's look at how Soleimani took the Hezbollah playbook and mimicked it in Iraq. Here, too, sightings of Soleimani help tell the story. Here he is in 2015 with Abu Mahdi al-Mohandes, the leader of an Iraq-based militia called Kata'ib Hezbollah, also known as KH. Over the last few years, the two were seen frequently together. And the bond is strong here, too, judging by this propaganda video.
Yeah, God forbid men have hobbies. You know what I mean? Like, or friends. This is yet another instance where the libtards over at the New York Times are claiming that are making the assertion that like men are not allowed to have friendships. You know what I mean? This is yet another case of men feeling isolated, male loneliness, okay? And the New York Times is pushing for it.
باش چجوریه؟
رابطه سرباز
حاج قاسم؟
سرباز حاج قاسم.
Similar to Hezbollah, KH is active in politics and helps push Iran's interests in Baghdad. And it runs military operations. Soleimani's team trains and arms them, and one of their main targets over the years has been American forces. We found propaganda footage of KH attacks on American bases in Iraq. And KH also joined the fight against ISIS, which Iran considered a major threat. In fact, Soleimani even shows up at victories against ISIS in Iraq. These were brutal campaigns where civilians were often collateral damage. KH would later be seen during the recent attack on the US Embassy in Baghdad. That episode led up to Soleimani's killing, and the other senior commander to die in the attack was none other than KH's leader, Abu Mahdi al-Mohandes. The next place we see Soleimani is Syria, the missing piece in Iran's strategic corridor. The militias we just told you about, Hezbollah and KH, here they are in Syria, fighting to help Syrian President Bashar al-Assad stay in power. Syria was also the only place we actually saw Iranian operatives besides Soleimani in action. Here,
to be fair, most Iranians hate their government, but they hate the U.S. much more, rightfully so. Yeah, exactly. And people think, but the problem is people in America think that that is like unjust. They literally look at that and they're like, why would they fucking hate? I don't understand. Like, why do they hate America? Like, they hate us because they ain't us? It's like, no, man, it's for good reason. Outside of the MEK, who's always like, I am Iranian, please, glass, Tehran. We deserve the nuclear holocaust, please.
Here, one of them describes how they train fighters in Syria.
25 روز جابجا میشن. خیلی این نیرو مثلا یه جا نمیمونه.
Only the IRGC hates USA? No, dude. It's like, that's not true. If that was the case, then these people would not get any fucking clout. Like, they would not have any prominence. They would not have any prominence in the region at all. Iranians absolutely do not hate the USA. Oh my God. I don't think Americans understand. Even American client states, the individuals that live in said client states also don't exactly love America. And the other thing that Americans also don't understand is that it's not about hating Americans, okay? It's not about hating Americans. It's about hating American foreign policy. It's literally American foreign policy that everybody hates. Everybody loves American culture, okay? Everybody loves American culture. Everybody loves American movies. Everybody loves rap music, things of that nature. People love consuming it. They just don't like America's actions. They don't fucking hate Americans for the most part either.
که وضعیتش چی باشه یعنی نیروهای دفاعی وطنی که ما هستن دیگه حداکثر 25 روز با ما هستن جابجا میشن.
But this video wasn't meant to be released. The footage was captured and leaked by Syrian opposition forces. Remember, it's...
You have to look into the history of Iran. The people like the U.S. No, they love the top of the hour ad break because I don't serve any ads in Iran, so they don't get to see it. But all the Americans do. However, if you no longer want to see those ads, like you are Iranian or something, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Let's fucking get it, boys.
all part of the playbook. Iranian Quds Force fighters rarely appeared in any of the videos we found. They stay under the radar and do most of their work through proxies. But we still see Soleimani. Here he is near Aleppo in 2015. The eventual fall of Aleppo became a key turning point for Assad, with devastating consequences for civilians. One big winner in all this bloodshed was Iran, which kept its foothold in Syria. There's another place on the map, Yemen, where Iran is active, but we don't see Soleimani here. Why? Because Iran doesn't want to be linked directly to the conflict. We do see other clues. These are Iranian weapons being used by a group called the Houthis. They're fighting against forces backed by Iran's great rival, Saudi Arabia. And Soleimani's lack of public profile here tells us one final thing about the Quds Force. Controlling whether they come out of or remain in the shadows is all part of their game.
Widow K66, thank you for the 5 get the subs. Allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. All right, let's get back to U.S.
Syria.
airstriking.
We've got a team of correspondents, military analysts standing by for our breaking coverage. I want to begin, though, with Oren Lieberman because he is live at the Pentagon. Oren, you have been learning more and more details about these strikes. What do you know now?
The U.S. carried out strikes across 7 different locations, strikes that were carried out.
I'm not going to have a conversation about like the Iranian. I'm not going to have a conversation with the Iranian diaspora about like the interests of the Iranian people that hate their fucking own government. Of course they do. Their government is oppressive. But having said that, the notion that they are like big fans of America is a silly one. I already gave you the distinction. The distinction. Or rather that like everyone that hates America is a fucking supporter of the Ayatollah or whatever is also stupid. Okay? There's a reason why Egyptians don't like America or people in Qatar also don't like America. Okay? Even if the United States of America is like technically propping up their fucking regime, okay? It doesn't matter. They still don't like it.
some of the locations that were struck, indicating they did hit weapons facilities in their attempt to go after some of the weapons that have been used to attack U.S. forces. The Biden administration, the president himself, the defense secretary have promised there would be a powerful response after its drone strike killed 3 U.S. service members and injured scores more in Jordan on Sunday. So 5 days ago, the U.S. held Iran ultimately responsible, but it was a decision to strike the Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria, the groups that have been carrying out these attacks. That was the thrust of tonight's operation. As you point out, President Joe Biden said this isn't the end. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin echoed those words when he said in a statement shortly after the attack, "This is the start of our response." So
Iranian-backed militias killed 3 Americans in Jordan, and we hit 85 targets. How many Americans has Israel killed so far since October 7? I assume that we're going to retaliate in kind to Israel too, right?
where the U.S. says it went after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and we'll find out more at the conclusion of a battle damage assessment.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Orrin. Orrin, you get more. Obviously, we're going to bring you back. Orrin's there at the Pentagon talking to his sources. So we'll let him continue to do that. I want to go to the White House now and MJ Lee. So, MJ, here we are, as Orrin's saying, a true show of force, right? B-1 bombers coming from the U.S. To do this, not using F-16s, F-15s. There's a very clear message here and a very clear message that this is just the beginning. So what does that mean in terms of this being just the beginning? What are you learning?
For right now, Aaron, the White House is trying to make clear that they believe the strikes so far have been very successful. But importantly, Aaron, a senior administration official telling me that the U.S. strikes are targeting places outside of Iran and not inside Iran.
And we can't take any stock in that, but nevertheless, right. that's their stock line.
Right, true, but America has to take action that is the most prudent and the most sober. That's going to give us the chance to limit our damage, to defend our people, but then not to escalate and to attack targets that may end up spawning more attacks back onto us. So then instead of 3 flag-draped coffins at Dover, we end up with a bunch of them, and that is bad for America. So we got to be much more careful about how we do target selection.
Now, the president's statement today read, "Our response began today. It'll continue at times and places of our choosing. The United States does not seek conflict in the Middle East. But let all those who might seek to do harm to us know this. If you harm an American, we will respond." That's tough talk from Joe Biden. But at some point, if this were to escalate, conservatives on Capitol Hill will call for a vote by Congress. If it comes to that, if it comes to what looks like a war in the Middle East, we need to get Congress back into the game of declaring war, do we not?
Absolutely, 100%. That is an obligation. It's not something they should do. It's something they must do if it's going to escalate beyond that. And
damn, Biden got Fox News talking about the power of the executive office declaring war on its own being unconstitutional. That's crazy.
Violation of the Constitution to possibly suck us into a war by attacking into Iran.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure a lot of Americans have a lot of faith in the Pentagon leadership these days, so I would share your concerns. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you. All right, joining me now is Nathan Sales, former ambassador at large and counterterror coordinator under President Trump. Mr. Ambassador, do you think these retaliatory strikes will do what they're intended to do, not just degrade the storage facilities where those drones are kept, but also deter future attacks against our troops?
Well, Laura, my reaction when I heard the news was it's about time. The White House has been sitting idly by for 3 years now, while Iran has taken shot after shot at our service members in the Middle East. We've seen over 160 since the Hamas attacks on Israel in October. But before that, even before that, there were at least 83 Iranian attacks on our soldiers. And typically, the White House's response was to pull its punches, maybe blow up a couple empty buildings in the desert in the middle of the night. Let's be clear, that is not the sort of pain that is going to get Tehran's attention. So what they did today was bigger than what they've done before. Is it enough to actually restore deterrence? Time will tell. The concern I have is that we spent the last week telegraphing this punch. And that's a problem because that means the Iranians were able to move any of their commanders out of harm's way and move their equipment out of harm's way. But it's even worse than that, Laura, because when you tell
the harder you hit the I when you talk about Iranians, okay, this is the American version of Hamas. The harder you hit the Iran or Iraq, the more bloodthirsty you are. Just like the harder you hit the Ch in Hamas, the more bloodthirsty you are in Israel.
Now, Jennifer Griffin asked the defense secretary whether or not there was too much telegraphing going on. Watch.
In terms of telegraphing about strikes and whether or not people leave or will have left, I won't speculate on any of that. I would just tell you that, we will have a multi-tiered response.
I mean, Mr. Ambassador, I'm sorry, but I am concerned about our response when he is our Pentagon chief. I find him very unsteady. I find him very confused and muddled in his responses. And today it was just a written response, written statement from him.
I don't know what to do with that, Laura. What do you think the Iranians are going to do? If they know that we're going to attack them, do you think they're just going to sit around and look up into the sky and take pictures with their iPhones of the incoming? Of course they went to ground. Of course they went back to Iran or hid or obscured their locations or moved.
By the way, they just talked about why that is the way it is. Because the previous guest literally said, we don't want it to escalate into a broader conflict where Iran starts retaliating against American troop positions and you see more American troops return home in coffins. That's the reason why there's some level of communication with our foreign adversaries in this back and forth. It's mostly theater. It just depends on how hard America strikes. Okay? So the other dude fucking knows that too. He's like some ambassador CIA guy. Of course he fucking knows that. But of course, they got to play this song and dance on television as though Biden is weak, actually, because he's bombing Iran in the exact same way that any Republican administration, or he's bombing Iranian proxies in the same exact way that the Republican administration would do. However, because it's Biden, we hate him. Okay, because it's Biden and the way he's doing it, we hate him actually, and it's actually somehow bad. That's was that the Visit the Creation Museum? And this is just an ad for pretzels? What the fuck kind of ads is... God. Their ads are so funny on Fox News. I love it. And for the record, Trump did this too. With in collaboration, I think, in Syria. He also informed ahead of time the bombing, the targets they were going to strike. It's more about crippling their infrastructure so that it's harder for them to conduct operations rather than actually killing, actually killing their nationals. However, Qasem Soleimani was a different story. Obviously, that wasn't with any kind of collaboration whatsoever. That was actually a major escalation. And luckily, it didn't turn into a broader conflict.
Just lack of hope.
Ad React Meta. Yeah.
So there may be one of these PMFs that may.
Isn't this cool that both Fox News and CNN are saying the same things though?
And what I
for
think
the most
is going
part
to happen over the next couple of days.
And Kareem, when you hear what the U.S. used, those B-1 bombers, a statement in and of itself, they could have used less, they didn't. more than 125 precision munitions, and then they have a whole list of things that they hit: weapons stockpiles, weapons caches, as you could see from what General Hertling's saying we're seeing here, right? Because the rocket's going up after the impact. How much do you think what we are seeing tonight will actually degrade the capabilities of the Iranian-backed groups?
I think no doubt it will degrade the capabilities. But Iran has been playing this game for a long time, 4.5 decades. So there's been instances when, for example, Israel has significantly degraded Lebanese Hezbollah, one of Iran's proxies, or Israel has degraded Iran's proxies in the Palestinian territories. But they use their oil resources. Iran uses its oil resources to rebuild those capabilities. So I think we have to say that this is a Cold War that Iran has been fighting against us for a long time. They're going to continue to do so. What I would say, though, Aaron, is that what's unique about this Iranian regime is that they're probably the most menacing regime beyond their borders, but one of the most unstable and unpopular regimes at home. And so that also needs to be part of our strategy to advance the cause of political change inside Iran. Otherwise, we're simply going to be responding to the symptoms of this regime.
Right. We think about in the past 12 to 18 months, so many of the brave things.
Yeah, if I can, Aaron, on that, that's a great point, because what we're seeing and what we're enamored with.
I love that. It's like, it's one of the most unstable and unpopular regimes. True. Okay. So why are you helping them? It's just, this is something I will not understand.
At least in this specific instance, the reason that this is happening tonight is because of what is happening in Israel and Gaza. And I want to go to Tel Aviv, where our Nick Robertson is out front. Nick, this is part of this escalation, since October 7th, of what we've seen, the fears of a broader war. And here we are bit by bit. How dangerous is this moment for the region and for the world when you consider there will be strikes, there then will be a response, there then will be a response to that?
Yeah, there's always dangers for miscalculations. I think what post-October 7th has shown, and what the United States is responding to in Iraq and Syria tonight, and your guests have just been talking exactly about it. Iran says that it doesn't want to have a direct fight with the United States, and the White House says it too does not want to have a direct fight with Iran. But the reality is Iran is at war with the United States, and post-October 7th, it's become very, very clear. If anyone had sort of failed to pay attention over the past couple of decades, they could have blinked during that period where Iran, having set up and established very strongly Hezbollah in Lebanon, they've gone on to stand up and make some very strong and capable militias in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen with the Houthis over the past decade or so, as well as supplying and training Hamas in Gaza. So the period that we're in at the moment is where we can see, the world can see, all those strings leading back to Tehran. And at the moment, it's convenient to avoid escalation, not to fight them by going to the ends of those strings to Iran. It's convenient to target the Houthis when they're about to launch missiles to take out ships in the Red Sea. It's convenient to target these militias and their weapon stockpiles, as we're clearly seeing now in Iraq and Syria. But I think the bigger picture is ultimately that threat, as your panel have said, doesn't go away. Iran's objectives vis the United States remain exactly the same. That problem just doesn't go away.
All right, Nick Robertson, thank you very much. Alive in these early hours of Saturday morning in Tel Aviv. I want to go to Major General Spider Marks at the wall right now. And General Marks, just to understand exactly what we're seeing here, right?
Am I wrong?
Strikes
I told you it was like Douglas,
Iranian-backed
Spider,
proxies.
rapist,
No strikes
Douglas.
inside Iran, notable and important. Can you just walk us through exactly the significance of what we're seeing here right now?
Yeah, Aaron, at least what we know right now is the strikes took place essentially in this area. We don't know precisely where. 85 individual targets, 7 clusters, if you will. What's significant is the United States did not strike into Iran. But look, the historic trade routes that have existed in this part of the world forever have come from Iran, and they migrate through, in this particular area, this Shia arc, if you will. This axis of resistance is what we've now called it. So the United States, I think, very wisely has chosen not to strike into Iran. But as Nick just indicated, let there be no doubt, the United States truly is at war with Iran in a tactical level right now. There is a strategic competition that's taking place.
Don't worry, guys.
Right
We're
now,
at war
the United
for
States
sure with
is
Iran.
trying to assert itself and to get into a leaning forward posture. So we're just not responding to what the Iranians are doing. We need to take the initiative, and this is what this first strike is all about.
All right, so the B-1 bombers that were used to carry out the strikes, can you tell us more about their capabilities? I mean, obviously, we understand the payload they can carry is significantly greater than that of an F-15 or an F-16. But what is the capability here?
Yeah, two things in particular identified here.
Tell us
You
more
just
about these
mentioned
sick-ass
one,
guns.
24 cruise missiles plus a number of gravity munitions, gravity bombs. Very, very capable. A lot of experience inside the cockpit. This thing's been around for over 40 years. It's got legs that are going to go out for another 10 to 12 years. But also unlimited range. You can keep refueling
QVC.
this thing. So
It's QVC.
these bombers, I
doing
assume,
QVC
flew from the
again.
United States, refueled en route, very precise targets, made it very crystal clear that this is what they're going after. And the United States chose not to use fighter aircraft that could have had a dual purpose of supporting forces on the ground. So this sends a very clear, unequivocal message. This is a bomber. We're not going to linger. We're not going to support other folks on the ground. We're coming directly after you.
All right, so what else stands out to you about what you've seen so far, what we understand so far happen?
Yeah, the challenge that we're seeing right now is that the government has indicated, our government has indicated this is a multi-tiered attack. The challenge is, what does that really look like? I would hope it would be a whole of government type of attack. We've got economic sanctions we can continue to pour on. We've got incredible cyber capabilities. We've got great diplomatic capabilities. And also the multi-tiered, in my mind,
Great diplomatic.
doesn't have a time horizon. We should not be in the business of saying we're going to be there another couple of days. The questions will be asked. How long will this take? It'll take as long as it takes. The United States needs to be able to assess the damage that's taken place so far, and then the target set's going to evolve as a result of that. So this thing will cascade and will escalate in terms of volume, I would hope, over the course of time, until at some point we say we've achieved our objectives.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it, General.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, and next, the breaking news. Ukraine's Zelensky now calling the top general that he fired days ago his, quote, commander-in-chief. What is actually happening here? Did Zelensky suddenly change his mind? Also breaking interference trial, that crucial trial. We have just learned.
Wait, what?
Exactly what happened.
Remember when you called that Raytheon ad?
You can get the Raytheon missile system by using the code word dildo at checkout. That's right. Please use my code word dildo at the checkout if you want 10% off your first order. And that way, you'll get to show your support.
System, okay? The problem with UAVs is they're low range. So what they need is they need some low range capability. And I submit to you that we need to look the United States at providing the CRAM system. That's the CRAM, counter rocket, artillery, and mortar. These are incredibly effective systems. They're made by Raytheon. They're intended to go after low-flying targets. They go after rockets, artillery, and mortar rounds. If you got something that's good enough to shoot out a mortar round, then, I mean,
The DC swamp is sabotaging our border. All right. Yeah. Hell yeah, baby. War. Okay. Oh, Salacious, Fannie Willis, let's do that.